And not saying that, you know, all of you gentlemen discriminated against us, but there was some discrimination, and I didn't particularly like it, you know, because we were trying to do something, and there was talent, there was time spent, you know, and it was like blood, sweat, and tears, you know, and for people to be turned down and shut out because of their sex, I think is ridiculous.
My decision to change the Super Bowl performance was actually made after the final rehearsal. MTV, CBS, the NFL had no knowledge of this whatsoever, and unfortunately, the whole thing went wrong in the end. I am really sorry if I offended anyone. That was truly not my intention.
It has been now almost 2 years since Janet's Super Bowl halftime performance made news around the world. The FCC received more than 500,000 complaints about that broadcast. CBS was fined $550,000. And then the NFL was asked to refund the $10 million that they had been given to the halftime show sponsor. So Janet says that this is going to be the first and the last time that she ever talks about what happened that day. First of all, I have to ask you this, was it planned, Janet?
No.
It was not planned.
Well, what people don't understand is he was to take and rip the piece off that he did.
The leather piece.
Right, but more came off than what was supposed to.
So he was supposed to pull that off and we just see the red there. And he ripped the whole thing.
Yes.
So he had you practiced or whatever before?
Yes, we did.
And so the moment that happened, you immediately covered your breast because you didn't want to be exposed. If you'd wanted to be exposed, you wouldn't have covered it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very embarrassing moment.
It was a very embarrassing moment.
Yes.
Well, 24 hours after that Super Bowl, Janet issued an apology. And I had read in another magazine that you regret making that apology. Is that true? Why?
It was an accident. And management that I had at the time, they thought it was important that I did, you know, with the project coming out. And I had said, actually, before I sat down to record the apology, that I had said to them,
what are you apologizing for?
Yeah, why am I apologizing for an accident?
Well, you did say in the apology, you apologized for anybody who might have been offended.
Right, and they wanted me to say that, so I did. They thought it was best that I do, so I did.
Do you think in any way that Justin Timberlake left you hanging out there? I am speaking to Miss Jackson. Do you?
Well, all the emphasis was put on me, not on Justin. And
all we've heard for 103 days is about a most remarkable man, and they scoured his every shred of life, and nobody but you has come forward. If what you say this man said to you occurred, why in God's name would you ever speak to a man like that the rest of your life?
That's a very good question. And I'm sure that I can't not answer that to your satisfaction. That is one of the things that I have tried to do today. I have suggested that I was afraid of retaliation. I was afraid of damage to my professional life. And I believe that you have to understand that this response, and that's one of the things that I have come to understand about harassment, that this response, this kind of response is not atypical. And I can't explain. It takes an expert in psychology to explain how that can happen. But it can happen because it happened to me.
What happened was one particular summer, I was working for a photographer. And he said, listen, you know, you're beautiful. Do you mind if I do some photos of you? No one will see them. I agree. Then, you know what? I've got a friend. Can she come over? I'd like to do some black and white shots in silhouette. No one will see you. Fine, fine. And again, after I've worked there and feel quite comfortable and trust that no one's ever going to see these photos. The following year, I win Miss America. Meanwhile, after I win Miss America, this photographer, he ended up going from magazine to magazine. He went to Playboy. Playboy said they wouldn't really buy them, these photos. And he ended up going to Penthouse, and Penthouse said, sure, we'll do it. And ended up publishing them with 6 weeks left in my reign.
Miss America Vanessa Williams took off her clothes, and now she's being asked to give up her crown within 72 hours. That announcement today by Miss America pageant officials in Atlantic City. Williams may be dethroned because of some nude pictures of her with another woman taken before she was crowned Miss America.
So I ended up having a press conference, resigning.
I wish I could retain my title as Miss America. However, the potential harm to the pageant and the deep division that a bitter fight may cause has convinced me that I must relinquish my title as Miss America.
Not only was that something that's never happened within the pageant organization, it was this huge dichotomy, and it couldn't be any more polar opposite of two images. You've got Miss America, who is angelic, and you've got naked pictures, which is salacious. So I ended up going into a lawsuit against Penthouse Magazine. And while you have to do a deposition, and your lawyers are talking to you about the trial, and this might come up, and he said, by the way, have you ever been with another woman? I said, well, when I was 10 years old, I guess I was molested by a older girl. He said, well, that's going to come out in the trial. So I just want you to know that expect for that to come up. And once I knew that not only it's not going to be just about the pictures and Miss America, but it was going to be everything about my life, that's when I said, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to fight. I want to get my life back. I just want to move on.
With the president, you have to do what you have to. So I've never been upset with him about that. I thought he did what he felt he needed to do in Washington at that time. I was telling someone, I was the bullseye. And so he should have kept me. Then they wouldn't have jumped on him so hard.
Remind them, that first of all, masturbation never made anybody go crazy. Their hair won't grow on your hands. It's never given anybody a disease. Never gotten anybody pregnant. And you're having sex with somebody you love. So, but they just felt, well, I was wanting to teach children how to masturbate. I said, nobody needs to teach anybody how to masturbate. God taught you how to masturbate. Think about it. 80% of women masturbate, 95% of men masturbate, and the rest lie. So you didn't have to, but they just really got bent out of shape about that.
Hey, welcome to In the Groove. I am Odu Adamu, your host, as always. And so as we see, and as we know, Blackness has been under attack since it has been encountered by whiteness. And so it makes absolute sense that the elements that create Blackness, Black sexuality, is also under attack. I think for Black men, our sexuality has always been portrayed as something to be scared of and to be feared. And we typically, when we communicate about sex, approach it from a comedic space in order to ease it, or a conquest space, which supports the idea. And for Black women, especially as we've seen in the package earlier, there's this idea of being apologetic, this idea of, in some way, shape, or form, your sexuality or something about sex or your views become this way the world is going to fall apart. And so we see it time and time again. And tonight, what we want to do is honor women who have decided that they don't need to be, nor should they be, nor is it their purpose to be apologetic about who they are sexually or in any way, shape, or form. So tonight, we're here to talk about Punanny Power. This is going to be it. Y'all get your drink now and get ready to get in the groove. Hit it, Sue. Hey, 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 welcome to In the Groove. Yes, yes. We are here tonight to talk about Punanny Power. And there is a whole lot to say. Yes, I realized my mic was on. Luckily, I wasn't over here singing and carrying on, but I had to go get my drink ready, and that's where my mind was. Now, you just see me, but I'm not going to be the only one in the house tonight. So first of all, we're going to bring out somebody. You've heard this name all the time. You just heard it earlier, Sue, Sue, Sue. Well, tonight you get to see Sue, Sue Webley. And let me tell you a little bit about Sue. So Sue, as you know what she does for us. But let me be clear. Sue is the CEO, owner, founder of Kara Solutions. Amazing technology. This sister been the back end and setting up this and doing graphics, that, and doing editing this and on and on and on and on. So we want to give her love for that. Now that's one part of Sue. Also, what you may not know is Sue is an associate pastor. And she's also the pastor for youth and young adults at Rivers UCC. She's also the national minister for youth and young adults for TCM. She's also the co-host of and co-producer of Walking Heavy, her own show, which is in the second season. She's also just a badass sister that I'm happy to have here tonight. So come on out here, Sue. What's up? Hey, hey, hey. What's going on? How are you, my love?
I'm well. I'm so excited to be here in the front. Hey, y'all.
Yes,
hey,
yes.
y'all.
How does it feel, Sue?
Oh my gosh. I don't feel like I'm on the outside looking in no more. Oh. Hallelujah.
Well, yes, yes. Well, you are always on the inside. You are the reason we have the inside. So never feel like you're on the outside. And you're going to find out more about Sue as the show goes on. I see y'all in What's Up, What's Up. Y'all had me kind of worried. I guess y'all need a couple minutes to get yourself together. I see you, Monica Stanley. Let go. All right. Come on, people, sign and let us know who you are, where you're at, et cetera, et cetera. We always thank you all for watching. The folks who watch every week, the new folks coming in. And just for people who have missed it, so let's just say this before we get to our other guests for the evening. Because Sue and I, we have been in this thing around the show. As some of you know, when you try to watch the show after the original broadcast, you can't find it.
Yeah.
So we have, like almost every week, we get taken down either YouTube or I'm about to say X2, wrong show, YouTube or Facebook or both due to copyright infringement.
Yeah.
And because, and it'll be because we play music, we show, clips, etc. So we kept trying to strategize as a team. What can we do differently? Let's try this, let's try that. Mm-hmm. So when last week's show, Battle Royale, was taken down, I said, you know what? I know the Fair Use Act. The way we're using the content is fine. And I'm going to respond to this. So, I know how the algorithms work. It's not like it's a person taking it down, but I had no idea how Facebook actually responds to these things, because people typically say, when you send something to Facebook, you never hear back. But I said, I don't care. We're going to push through on this. So Sony had filed a claim, which is what got the video taken down. I responded to Facebook stating the Fair Use Act. Sony reviewed the video and they dropped the, I know, look, don't worry about me in that. That's another show. Well, that's on later on in this show. But let me finish this so I can get the folks out here. So what happened was Sony reviewed the video and actually removed their claim from it, so that they allowed it for the idea of education and criticism purposes. So we just have been enjoyed this week. I think there's this one piece of, yay, the show is up. I said there's this other piece of just spiritually, knowing when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't have the same blocks other people may have. It is supposed to happen. So don't sit back and be scared to approach something, worried about what's going to happen, creating all that for yourself. Just walk in it and allow it to be. So, that went down. And third, I think for all of us here, there was a big piece of, wow, like he reviewed the video and like, okay, cool, like boom. And so, yeah, so we here, and what we're going to do is kind of go through all the videos that haven't been available, respond to them, so that by the end of next week, which is our season finale, all of season 1 should be available somewhere. So any episodes you miss, you'll be able to catch. Any you want to see again, you'll be able to catch those. So yay for us. And now on to the show. Well, it's all the show. So, okay. We have 2 guests in addition to Sue that I could say a lot about. I'm going to say more about Sue later. I'm going to say more about them later. But right now, I ain't going to say nothing. We're going to show the clip. So go ahead, Sue, with the clip.
Black girls rock and black girls roll. Black girls funk and black girls soul. Black girls dance and black girls folk. They sing so lovely and it ain't no joke. I'm standing up for what is mine. Call me the rib, but I'm really the spine of this whole great nation. Ain't gonna put me back on the plantation. Living in the city, living in the city, living in the city.
Yes, yes, rock solid sisters. So let's get this started. I'm going to bring on, let me get it. So Shelley Nicole, the mainspring behind the band Shelley Nicole's Black Bush, is simultaneously a product, a witness, and architect of Black on Black love, a calling that has informed all of her work as a vocalist, writer, composer, actor, poet, musician, and a healer. It is the taproot of her latest project, I Am American, a collection of songs written by her and produced by award-winning guitarist, composer, and producer Vernon Reid. Shelley's lyrical voice is part of the continuum of an audacious, self-confident, and eclectic Black sisterhood that extends from Sister Rosetta Tharpe to Nina Simone to Betty Davis to LaBelle and beyond. Shelley Nicole is also a feature vocalist with Burnt Sugar, the Orchestra Chamber, founded by Greg Tate, and has traveled the world performing in venues from Los Angeles to Paris. Ah, bonsoir, mon ami. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Welcome, Shelley Nicole. What's up, baby? What's going on?
Thank you.
How are you, Shelley?
So good, so good, so good to see the everything that you put together. That first package.
Oh, thank you. Right.
Yes.
So people don't know, right? The guests they don't see these, so they don't know. And of course, you know, for us, it's like you coming into our home. We welcome you with love, and we let the world know you a sister doing it. Musically, she's doing it. Last night, you know, I watched her show. So thank you, because Punanny Power, I actually is a riff on Shelley's show and her music, Punanny Politics. So we thank you for that. And thank you for being here tonight. We're going to get into some conversation. Now, we're looking for Mama Funk. We still looking for her. We still got to call out. Okay, well, that's all right. You know, she going to get here. You know how the universe works. So I'm not going.
Mercury is retrograde.
I know, right? And I'm going to apologize because, you know, I was supposed to send the stuff out earlier today, and I got caught up. So we just going to do what we going to do. She going to come. She already here.
Absolutely.
We just going to see her body come in. So, well, what makes sense to do, I think, is let me do this toast and then kick into the show. Right. And so I'm going to share a little more about these 2 sisters here. So Shelley Nicole and I, we also attend the same church, Celebration Spiritual Center. And I remember the first time I saw Shelley, because Shelley was in there, and I've told her this before, she reminds me of my aunt, Cookie. Right. And my aunt's like an Auntie Mame. She was the one, she took me to Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was in 4th grade and put me on a guest list of clubs in New York. I was like, this be going out and stuff. So it was like such a comfort to see her. And then Shelley broke out the tambourine. I was like, oh, okay, it's a sis right here. And she's just powerful. I've been in spaces and just her vibration just shifts things when they're going the way you don't like feel they should be going. And so it's just amazing again to have you here and part of this evening tonight in this conversation. And then Sue. So Sue is a whole serendipity kind of thing. I did Sue and Rainier's show, and Rainier also goes to our church. I know y'all said, what kind of church do y'all go to? Trust me, it's serious show. It's serious things happening there. That's why we all got shows. But no, it's right, but for real. So I meet Sue, and I dig Sue. I'm like, oh, Sue is so cool. And so Sue and Rainier were the inspiration for me to move forward and do my production company and do In the Groove. And it was like the day I was talking to Rainier, she said, well, you know what? Like it was a day or two before that Sue had started Cara Solutions, that she decided she was going to provide tech services to people who were doing online stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So then it was boom. So to have both of you here kind of representing these pieces of me, and then right now us as this trinity, it's beautiful. So I'm gonna raise a glass here, and we're on toast here. Yes, yes. And we are y'all out there. What's up? I see Trevor has joined us. I love, Trevor's my boy, man. And Craig is over at, we can start drinking. Y'all ain't got to wait for me to chill. But yeah, what's up, Craig? I don't know if Trevor letting you watch or if he got you in the kitchen cooking or something. What's up? All right. So we're going to get in and let's start like this. So we saw the opening package. And that, evokes some things. And then also we have this title of the show, Punanny Power. So when y'all hear Punanny Power, what does that mean for you? And if you want to reference anything we saw earlier, please feel free. But let's just kick it off right there.
Well, the funny thing is, when I think about Punanny Power, as you talk about the whole apologetic thing, I think a lot of us don't really know our power a lot of times. I think that's the thing. And so it is so interesting how there is a lot of, where people start to see or think that we start to feel our power, people get a little nervous because the real deal is that, through that canal, so to speak, is from, life comes from that. That's real powerful. Let's just start there. That's like number one, right? You know what I'm saying? And so I think that makes people nervous to start. But I think that, Punanny Power, I think is something that I think for a lot of Black women and girls, we don't come to until a lot later because that's not the teaching that we get. The teaching that we get is like, oh no, you're supposed to keep that to yourself, legs closed, don't talk about it. You're really not even supposed to even look at it. Look at your own. You know what I'm saying? So it takes a long time, or it can take a long time before you even get to the space where you understand the power of that area.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Stu, you want to, and I love how you put that show because it made me think of Fear of a Black Planet. You were like Fear of a Black Pussy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna remember that. I know, I they let me say these things because it's your show. We can do this, right? But we can vibe. One of the beauties, and I think it is important just to interject it now. I have been through whether I should not do the show and have a female host and all that, but I think these conversations are important for us to have as a community.
Yes.
So, and I know when to slide out, but when I say some stuff, just say, boy, come on now, and I'll pull myself together. So, Sue, what you want to add to that?
So I co-sign with everything that Shelley said. One of the definitions of power is the ability to act or, produce an effect. And so many of us as women, particularly as Black women, have not been taught, right? It wasn't our upbringing. We weren't raised to embrace our feminine power so that we can produce, other than birth a child.
Yes.
And so, yes, that is power. No one can do, no one else, can do it how we do it. Right. But Punanny Power for me is embracing our feminine ability to create, to produce an effect.
Beautiful. Right. All right, y'all. And that, you know, that's beautiful and a good segue because we're talking about creators.
Yeah.
We're talking about producers. We're talking about writers. And a reference, even a conversation we had kind of backstage was that, you know, we get in, and I've gotten in this dialogue too. How authentic is it if men are around and what men do and all of that? But working on this really supported me in this different understanding. Regardless of who is engaged, etc., it's still blossoming from this incredible being, this woman, whoever's standing there, it's blossoming from her. And it's not blossoming from someone else. So it's intentional. It's still her purpose. So it doesn't matter. I mean, all of us, when we do things in life, we are supported. You know, we're not doing kind of any men produce men. Men write songs for men. So, you know, and rappers as well when we get to the hip hop part. So, yeah. So let's get into this. So, as you know, we've had this, Shelley and I've had this conversation, Sue and I've had this conversation. So we know Black women singing about sex and music, bringing it to music is nothing new. You know, we go back to, and we know Ma Rainey's Blues is going to be on Netflix soon, and then Bessie Smith, you know, Lucille Bogan, and the list goes on. Even Dinah Washington, you know, long black slide and saying, yeah, so, you know, it's long shiny. Okay, I know the lyrics. I know she talk about the steel guitar player who can't get into it, the drummer who can't get into it. Right. And she waiting for the trombone player to come back and blow on it and do the fingers and thumbs and stuff. And Dinah Washington, why I say Dinah Washington is because we know her kind of glamorous with gowns and stuff, but that is what was going on. So before we jump into kind of it, anybody want to add anything to that piece right there?
You know, when you were talking about that, what instantly came to mind, and I don't know if we were going to address it later, but the difference between, I'm thinking about language and how things were phrased and how you spoke about these sexual things, you know, how they were talked about and put in songs back in the day and compared to how they are put in songs now. But the shock that some people feel when they listen to someone like Little Kim or Cardi B and you know, or Megan Thee Stallion, it's the same type of shock, right? That you know, our folk from back in the day felt when they listened to those types of songs. So that's the thing that jumped in my mind.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because to that end, you know, that you had to be, you know, it was more metaphor, right? Like it wasn't just straight at you. I think the thing that makes people, you know, lose their mind right now is that you have not only, you know, the lyrics, but you have the visual. So, you know, Ma Rainey was not even necessarily, she was not, you know what I'm saying? Dressed in a way that was portraying, you know, what she was saying. But now it's like, we're giving you this visual,
right?
And we're giving you the lyrical.
Right.
So I think, you know, and especially going back to Lil' Kim, you know, the Lil' Kims and Foxies, because that was sort of like real, you know, and, you know, entrance or, you know, time that we saw like, okay, hardcore, all right.
Right. It was real. It went down. It went down.
That you really only saw, you know, late night on Showtime. You know what I'm saying?
No, you got it. And even to that point, to both your points, to go back, even like we look at a Lucille Bogan who was saying, you know, my cock is this, my cock is that, his dick is big as the bad. But there is a different visual for her. And there's also, to the point, a different space where that's happening. That's not happening on the grand stage. That's happening in the juke joint. It's happening on the Chitlin circuit. Because we could add Moms, you know, go to comedy, add Moms Mabe, Lee LaWanda Page, and all of that. But it's not happening in the mainstream world.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think to your points of metaphor, when it starts to get there with a Julia Lee or a Dinah Washington, then it does get nuanced. It does get pretty. It does become a different kind of thing. And so we have all that, but then there becomes this moment when, and I always think it's late 60s and 70s, when it leaves the back room and like the sisters kind of kick through the door and bust out and it ain't been no, well, maybe a little try to turn back, but they here and they on stage. So that's what we want to look at, and then we're going to talk about, and dedicating this segment to Electric Lady Studios. We call this Electric Ladies. So Sue.
She invited me to come down to one of the first shows that she did. When she walked out on stage, my mouth dropped. I mean, Russia Fierce? Huh. No, Betty Fierce.
It was the short shorts, the thigh-high boots, the luscious lips, the big afro. And then you're gonna spread your legs. You're gonna use the mic like a penis. It was shock and awe. That's the only way to describe it. She was giving women the right to be as nasty as men.
I said I like it. Ooh, I like it. I said I like it. Woo! I want to feel it. Won't turn that thing down. Oh, we got to let me feel it then. Why is it? Wanna feel it then? Wanna feel it then? Can you have me sign it then, please?
I can't control it. I need 7 inches. Anybody got it tonight? I can't hold it. Come on, boys. Get it up. Get it up. I can't wait anymore.
I'm gonna have a sip to that. Let me tell you, the women that I didn't include. I mean, that's the thing. We could have done an hour just on that, and right. And the beauty is that's all live on stage. This place where you can kind of come out.
Yeah.
And there's no, it's none of that. And once it's done, look, you don't even ask for permission, and they don't even ask for forgiveness. They're just out there. So that was so let's start with, there's a lot to talk about there, but let's just start with Betty Davis, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. And Shelley, you are one of the 2 people ever in life I've ever had a conversation, any conversation about Betty Davis with.
Wow.
So I mean, it's so you kick it off there.
Wow. I mean, it's funny. I mean, Betty, I mean, she's such an interesting story about her because, there's so much like myth, legend, truth, I mean, you see the truth, like she was the truth, and she really came and she did her thing. But like so many of us, Black women who are not, necessarily doing the nice R&B songs, people are confused, like they're excited and confused.
Right.
But Betty, she really just did her thing. Like, I hate to keep saying unapologetically. I feel like it's overused, but it's like she just really did not give a damn and went the way that she wanted to go. But for better or for worse, right? It's kind of like she came 100% all of the time. But like oftentimes it just gets tiring after a while to be like continuing to have to explain yourself, to have to like, justify why you're doing what you're doing and all these things. And we know, those of us that know about Betty, eventually she disappeared.
Right,
And
right,
not
right.
until recently, if you know that the documentary that's out on her right now, I believe it's on Amazon Prime.
It is.
You know, she recently just started to sort of surface a little bit. And I'm not saying that had to do with all about the business and all that kind of stuff, but you know, how many times have we seen Black folks in general that really just be like, you know what, I'm good with it. I'm backing up out of this thing. But Betty was just fire. Like, I mean, she really just, whatever she wanted to say, she said. And whatever she wanted to do, she did it.
Yes, yes, yes.
And to the rest of y'all, be damned. And if you don't get it, so what? You don't get it. These folks over here get it. So I'm gonna deal with these folks over here. If y'all don't get it, whatever, y'all can, you know.
Right, right.
But yeah, Betty, and you know, oftentimes I've had to say, as you talk about that conversation, when I start talking about Betty Davis, I have to be like, not the actress.
right. It's a whole thing. Whole thing.
Because the people are like, what? I'm like, not the actress. I'm like, oh, look it up or whatever, you know. But she was so influential in Miles's life.
Right, right.
And isn't it interesting? I think about her and like Tina Turner, right? Like they were like, if we're gonna take anything, we're gonna take these last names because we work these last names.
Right. They earn them. They earn them.
That's operating in your Punanny power. Like,
yes, they earn them.
You earn this thing.
Yes.
So yeah, Betty is somebody who, I mean, I've lived in New York a long time, but I learned about her when I got here, you know, some years ago. You know, I didn't really know about her either until I got indoctrinated into like the Black Rock Coalition and really started learning about some of these alternative folks that I just didn't know from where I grew up. And even though I knew rock and roll, I didn't know those rock and roll folks. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
No, thank you. And Sue, you want to add?
So I'm thinking, I was not privy. Okay, so little backstory. I was raised Mormon, with a little tinge of apostolic Pentecostal in the back.
Wow!
And so I didn't know nothing about music. It was the devil's work. I did, you know. We didn't know anything about that. You know, I grew up listening to, Kool and the Gang and you know, Kenny Rogers, Anne Murray. Like, I mean, Sukiyaki. You know, that's the type of stuff that I grew up on. And so, but just learning as I grew up more into my adulthood about Betty. And about all of these powerful women who embrace their feminine their feminine power. It is, you know, makes it like, oh, man, I want to be like that. I don't want to care what you know. I want to be able to just stand up in who I am and, you know, and say what I want, do what I want, and not care about it. And you know, it's like, here I am. You know, you don't have to deal with me. You got to respect me. You don't have to like me. You have to respect me. So that's that type of attitude is what I am, I think, constantly trying, you know, striving for. And you know, as I now I'm, you know, I always tell my age. So now that I'm in my 50s, so I'll be 51 next month. I'm getting closer to that. So I think the older I get, the less I care.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know, there is time for caring, but when it comes to me and how I show up in my full feminine power, I'm caring less about what other people think about it. So yeah.
Right. And I feel like right now we're in a time where women it's like younger and younger people are finding their feminine power. It's like earlier and earlier, because, you know, we're around the same age. So it's like, I understand what you're saying. It's like, you know, and I'm really amazed and happy to see, you know, younger women like really stepping into a space that took us a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And I know sometimes people feel like it's a little controversial. I'm sure we'll get to that, but I'm not mad.
Well, I mean, and like you say, in each moment it was controversial. Like the thing, because here's what's interesting. And what's up, Donnell? What's up, William? Donnell is lighting you up to talk about Kenny Rogers and Anne Murray. Like he don't have the whole collection of something live from Toronto. Don't pay him no mind. But there's this piece of in every given moment, it was still an issue. And what I like, so the documentary, They Say I'm Different, which is named after her third album, which well, for me, there's a lot of different Betty Davis songs I live for, but that third album is just sick. The third album is sick. He talks about kind of this coming out of this Motown experience going on for Black people and how Black people feel like we should be showing up in the world.
Yeah.
And she's not showing up like that. But now imagine though, you have the same time as Jimi Hendrix, Sly and the Family Stone. In fact, Erica Rico produced her first album. So you still have Black men kind of showing up, rock and with attitude and all of that, but that's not the same conversation for them. Right. So I think, you're right. It remains to be controversial. And the thing for me, I grew up seeing her album covers. I didn't know her music till later. And I think I discovered it watching something on Miles Davis and him talking about his wife, and they showed a picture. I said, I know this picture. I got to find this stuff. And when I found that stuff, and then the other part is honoring her musicianship, because she was writing songs for other people before she was recording. And I always say that for Black women, we don't grow up, but we don't grow up as Black folk in that time, knowing Black women wrote songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we knew Carole King wrote Tapestry.
Yeah.
We didn't know no Black women wrote no songs.
Right.
So she was out there like on that grind and didn't necessarily go on that grind, I know. But she wasn't necessarily wanting to be an artist, but that was what was presumed she should show up as. And she did it, to your point, the way she wanted to do it. So, we gonna show and the lyrics. So y'all, I'll post in the group to turn you on. If you don't know Betty Davis, I'm glad I'm seeing some comments. People do, but we're going to get you turned on to her. And then, so we saw a lot of different images of women. Who y'all want to talk about somebody or somebody we didn't see, but somebody that you feel like is like, yo, when I think Electric Lady, Punani Power, she comes to mind?
Well, I just want to talk about Grace because
yes, me too.
Because really, we are nothing without Grace. But there's so many amazing Grace stories. But I just want to say, the first time I saw Grace was at Central Park. I don't know, sometime in the 90s, I believe, or sometime. But she came. And apparently we were not hype enough for her, New York City. Okay. So New York City, you need to come correct. We were not hype enough. Grace proceeded to just take her top off.
I bet y'all hype now.
So, are y'all gonna get up now? Okay, good. Okay, good. Now, 1, 2, 3. Like I was like, yes, Grace. And that's the kind of thing you talk about, that freedom, like that freedom. And I was like, damn, like this, I never seen nothing like this. Like we in Central Park. She just like, y'all here with me? Okay, good.
It's on. Boom. Unbothered. Yeah. Unbothered. Yeah.
I mean, and if you haven't read her book, that's a book to get into. Mm-hmm. Her autobiography is amazing. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to mention Grace.
Oh, yeah. Look, we saw it. I mean, and let's be clear. That's Grace at 67 from that clip, because I was at that show. That's like she did, I think, Afropunk.
That was the
Brooklyn,
show?
right? And then, but that was she was in California. She did LA, Berkeley, and Oakland, and it was Folsom weekend. Now I'm telling too much about myself. So anyway, I was at San Francisco for Folsom. Grace was there. I said I got to go see Grace, and and this is the worker. So each song, so she had the Keith Haring body paint the entire show. Yep. Each song, she did like 13, 14 songs. She changed a piece, a hair, a skirt, or whatever, every song. I was like, yeah. And then for anybody who don't know him on my feed, Grace and I have the same birthday, May 19th. So she will forever put some Grace in your face. Yes, in your face, and let it drip all over your body. Go ahead, Sue.
I said, well, you might share a birthday, but we're both from Yard, Mom. From Yard.
Oh, yeah.
From Yard, so we share that, right? But I love, oh gosh. I love, first of all, so let me tell the other story about me growing up and not knowing about all of these songs. So I would listen to Pull Up to My Bumper all the time. And child ain't know what to pull up to. Didn't know what the song meant, honey, until I was like 26. So I'm like, what? I was like, oh my, you know. But I love Grace because she was the consummate like gender bender, right? In one of her songs, which I love, "Walking in the Rain," you know, one of the lyrics in that song is "feeling like a woman, looking like a man." And Grace did not care, right? She embraced the masculine, right? So it was that, you know, she used that feminine power, but she also, you know, didn't shy away from her you know, aesthetically her strong, you know, masculine look, right? And so I love that about Grace, that, you know, she didn't leave any part of herself behind. She brought all of it, all of it. And yeah, right. Grace in your face, all of it. Every part of it was going in your face. And I'm jealous that she could, you know, that she looks that way and she could move that way at her age.
You will, you will, honey. Yeah, don't worry. Wow. And I was about to, somebody brought up portfolio. Yeah, I was gonna say my introduction to Grace was I was very young and I had no idea what I was seeing. But I never really, will I ever fall, you know, am I ever going to fall in love in New York City, do or die, like all that stuff, the Young Rose, the Batango, like just all that, and just seeing it, and, you know, her in a cage and on the cover of Interview magazine, just like everything was so visual and so strong when she did a one man. I mean, and the fact that she called her show a one man show was like, yo, and then it's like 1,000 Graces on stage, and you're like, and she never, to your point, she never ran from her image.
Right.
And there's also just this piece of just she was a dark-skinned woman.
Yes.
Like she was, you know, and so, but then, see, we could do, because also if you haven't seen what is Gordon's War and see Grace walk from the subway with the drugs into the house, that was in her acting. She I forget what name she uses in the film, but yeah, great. I mean, so then she ends up a Bond woman. We can't even call her a Bond girl. A Bond woman. A Bond being. Right. Bond. Yeah. You know, so, you know, you see just kind of have this career that is spectacular and iconic. I mean, that's the thing about Grace Jones. She is iconic. And that is the thing I think about when we look at these women. It's not just, they had some songs. They had some albums. Their music, their influence on fashion, look, culture, and the way, and the cult following. Like you can see, like Grace come to town. People gonna risk COVID. I hate to say it out there, or they gonna be masked up and hooded and right. You're gonna, they were, honey. We going to see Grace Guard.
Listen, we going to have sequence and stuff.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Donna. So that's great. So one more. Either you could pick one more. We're gonna talk about one more.
Oh God.
Ooh, the apple stretching.
Well, you know, since she's not here, let's talk about it.
I was going to say, but yeah, let's go. Yeah, we gonna call her up.
We want her to come. Come on,
we should.
You know, because you know, as you talk about songwriting, hello, Nona. Like, hello, Nona. Like, a lot of people do not know all the songs Nona has written, you know, for herself, for others. I mean, her catalog is deep. You know, you talk about one woman show. She's, you know, when she was in residence at Joe's Pub a few years ago, you know, she was doing all her stuff and really starting to like, and I know she's been working on that for a minute, and I know that's coming post-COVID. We're going to see all the things on the Hendryx, but, you know, let's get real about it. You know, as you talk about that change of the time, you talk about that 60s, 70s, and, you know, LaBelle, it was Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, right?
Right.
You know, it shifted a little bit, and then them girls went away. They went to London, they came back, and they were from space. You know?
Yes.
And it was, you know, again, that thing, like we're showing our bodies, you know what I'm saying? And we're out here and we're talking about, you know, the times. As Nina will always say, you cannot be an artist and not reflect the time, or how can you be an artist and not reflect the time? So they came back talking about what was going on at the time. They came back talking about Nona writing about, sexuality and writing about what you want. She wrote "You Turn Me On." She wrote "Going Down to Your River." You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's she is. And you talk about, we're over here talking about Grace, but let's talk about Nona Hendryx. How fabulous she is in her 70s right now.
Listen, I wish she was here so I could go like this too.
76.
Baby, you give me hope, honey. You give me hope.
Right.
Exactly. And what a blessing it is also to have her, just in the community, really. Like she's just here, she's in New York, Nona's here. So I can't, I've watched Nona, I've been on stage with Nona, I have watched Nona, and to see her still, climb herself up on the drum kit.
Baby.
You know what I'm saying?
We saw on the floor in the opening package.
You know what I'm saying? And and getting all the way down.
Kiki. What's up, Kiki?
All the way down. Kiki and Asa all the way down. Yeah. And then looking at Nona like, you still going down?
I was on my knees watching that clip. I was like, ugh.
So, really inspirational, in terms of, all the things that I know that woman and all that generation of women, have been through in this industry, and to still be here and still teaching and showing and growing and learning, because Nona's all, she's into the digital world now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She's still moving forward. She's still going to space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I just want to give all praise to Nona, because
yeah. Most
definitely.
Right.
In our 70s, jumping on the drum kit.
Carrying on. No, coming. Yeah, she's doing it. Sue, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was you going to say?
No, I'm good. Listen, I want to know what she doing.
Right. Look, baby, because I can't fit my cat suit right now. So I need to talk to everybody who can still get into the cat suit and find out what is the thing. Because in 20 years, I still want to be in mine, hitting the stage, kicking it up, doing whatever song I'm doing at the time.
Yeah.
But I would say with Nona, and why I picked that clip interestingly, is because on the side of the bodysuit, she has a set of handcuffs. And see, people don't even know that. That's how I look. They'll tell you when I get doing my packages, I get deep. And I was like, and the reason being for that for me, and also for folks to know, if you haven't been to Smithsonian African American Museum, she's maybe the only non-slavery riding crop in there. So there's a riding crop from her outfit, because to your point, they went to London, and when they hooked up with Larry Legaspi, it was all over. But for me, I will say, growing up, I would see LaBelle, and it was this celebration of sexuality. And for me, it seemed like a celebration of fetishism. Like I didn't quite know what was happening, but I knew something was happening. So you would see the little cues here and there and the effects. And I would say, okay, I know I want some chaps when I grow up. Because I would just, I would say, I want the boy version of her clothes, like I always did. So but it was just the presentation. And to your point, it was later on as an adult, when I paid attention more to the fact that she was writing the songs, because even as a child, the songs I knew, and just something I want to say that for me became what happened as an adult, paying attention to her writing. And I said this, to the team before, I feel like she's a person who has given voice and vernacular to the gay Black man's experience.
Yes.
So like we reference her songs a certain way. And I don't think that happened a lot. I mean, yes, we love a lot of female artists and so on, but there's something about, You Turn Me On that we go to that feels like our story. Are You Lonely? Like they're just things that feel like it's about us. So that's the power. Yeah. Right. And then we don't give her credit really for vocals the way we should.
Come on. But yeah. I
mean, because that the first time I saw her just as solo, it amazed me because I realized we've never had this conversation about her as a vocalist. And she's still singing, like she's still hitting it.
Yep.
She is holding notes, and she holding notes on the floor, and you like,
yeah.
How did we miss this?
Well, I mean, you missed it in the beginning because, you know, it's overshadowed by Pat, right?
Of course, yeah.
But she was writing for Patty. You know what I'm saying? Like, Patty was the voice, you know, that was what she was hearing and giving voice to that. So that was, you know, she was up in there, but like you said, you didn't hear it. But I mean, come on, LaBelle, Nona, Sarah, Patty, that harmony, that look.
Right.
Look. And really, you know, and like we said, we don't really think about, I mean, I do, you know, I started off as a, you know, choir girl and, you know, I was a background singer. So I'm always listening for the harmony, like who's on that bottom? Who's carrying that tenor right there? You know what I'm saying? And I always, you know, I'm an alto, you know, I always like to carry the bottom. So I would be hearing, be like that. And then like, that's Nona, but she got range. You know, but of course, it's not until, you know, she gets into the solo career that you really, like you say, it's like, oh, she's out here blowing.
Right. She wasn't the background singer.
No, and honestly, none of them were. You know, nobody was in the background. And even though Patty was the one who was singing most of the leads, that was a group. You know what I'm saying? One could not happen without the other.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, but yeah, she's, and it's like, and I think it's also because it's a different voice, right? It's not Patty's voice. And so it's different. So then when you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And, you know, like I said, we still go see her and we're still there, like, oh, and you know that in the beginning, that's a piece when you and her are on stage together, and it's just like, yeah, she ain't playing, and we hit the tambourine. I was like, that's Miss Shelley, honey. I ain't got to see her face. And tambourine, I said, hey, that's Shelley. I already know.
Oh my God.
You know, and she's definitely a woman who did kind of usher in this idea of don't just stand there and sing words given to you. Create. And that way it has meaning for you. Yes, a man in the trench coat. Yes, Donnell gonna go through the catalog, baby. Trust me, we gonna see Gypsy Moss. We get ready to get it. But it's a thing, and we haven't even gotten to her solo. Like so,
right? I was gonna say, right, exactly.
You know, we can get up to Skin Diver. We can go to
Transformation.
Right, Transformation. You know, Why Should I Cry? You know,
right.
So we got a kind of this whole way of being, and again, iconic. Just in style and in affect and in being. That's beautiful. And then, you know, we saw, that's the thing, as always with any conversation, we can go on and on about all the folks we saw. I know they say we gonna shout out Janet. No, we talked about Janet last week, but yeah, Janet. Because, and I'm gonna tell you why I just want to say that name out loud. When she started doing this piece of her show of bringing men on, and doing that, it just was something we were like, what in the hell? And, you know, and there's a whole lot behind the scenes I found out about, you know, how that happens. But I just wanted to shout it out because, yo, I wish if I've been that dude, you know, whoever went home with him, it was on. Because he was heart palpitating. He was like, oh, he didn't make it through the show.
So he looked like he was going to pass out right there.
He was like, and I think for the way we talk about kind of Betty Davis, Nona, it's important. And you know, and I don't even entertain who you like and who you don't like is irrelevant because it's less about that than cultural impact. When we look at this kind of range of Beyonce, Sierra, like all of these girls, Rihanna, we have to look at, Janet is the prototype.
Yeah, I mean, you have to talk about Janet.
Yeah. No, but you know, we get folks who, and I'll be like, well, that's nice, honey. But yeah, go ahead.
Look, there ain't no Beyonce without Janet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get real.
Yeah.
and I always tell folks, and it's not to knock, but it is about when we talk about the music, the DNA. We clearly, you know, get to these places where it started. And you can't tell me Janet wasn't looking at, when she was little, looking at Nona and them and looking at these outfits and saying, oh, I'm going to get me a cat suit. I'm, you know, once I finally get up out this house and Joe,
right?
When she got Terry and Jimmy, she said, "What's the first thing you want to do?" She said, "Buy a cat suit." That's what I want to. So and I mean, it's hard because then you look at Millie Jackson, who, you know, lyrically and then from a business perspective was owning herself a certain way. I mean, you know, everybody, Vanity. You know, people will say, well, that's Prince's creation, but come on, Prince worked with a lot of people, but Vanity,
yeah,
you know, there's all of them except for Shelley. Okay, but you got Jill and Apollonia and Susan, all them girls, Vanity. So, you know, again, this
Vanity didn't even have to sing, really.
Just get it up, get it up. Get it up. Right? And so wait, so we have all those, and I'm saying, so now when we come to
listen, don't be freezing up now.
No, we be right there. We right there.
Woo, and live in color. You here? Okay, all right.
We back.
Is WAP. So we had WAP, we had Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes.
And they came out with this song. I was on Media Detox at the time. I came back a couple days later. And I was like, wow, what is this? And why is everybody so upset about it? What is it? I must find out what it is. And then I found out there was some holes in this house. It was the WAP. I said, Lord, have mercy for the WAP. But my thing was, but this is not the first time we've seen this in hip hop. So I'm gonna go to this segment that is about these sisters who just sang what they was gonna sing, and we call it "I Said What I Said." So,
Do it now, lick it good. Fuck this pussy just like you should. Right now, lick it good. Fuck this pussy just like you should. My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
Rather lose a killing in the stick up just. Rather count a million while you eat my pussy. Push me to the limit, get my feelings in it. Get me open while I'm coming down your throat. You wanna be my main squeeze, nigga, don't you? You wanna look between my knees, nigga.
Now you don't know now, ho. Better stand more ass than me. You don't know now, ho. Better make you come like me, nigga. You don't know now, ho.
You don't know now.
Don't try to who quick to deep throw the dick and let another bitch straight lick the clit.
He says I'm a real pussy, Mr. Clean Pussy. This that I'm about to fuck you longer than a limousine. Pussy, high self-esteem.
Okay, Cupcake.
Cupcake's gonna be fine.
Like a mean pussy, easy make up in this pussy.
Yo, high self-esteem pussy, yo. When I heard that, I was like, high self-esteem pussy. That's our platform. Go ahead, Cupcake, with the frosting and all. So, yeah, right. So, you know, I want y'all to talk, but I'm going to be clear. You know, I think the conversations are always about defending it and the why and all that. I think the conversation is, why is it still a conversation?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want to throw out to y'all. Like, why are we in 2020, something we've seen 100 times, and Lil' Kim wasn't underground. Like, you know, she's, you know, we see all this. Why is this still a conversation?
I think it's still a conversation because of access. I think that's why. Because I think that there was a time when, as we talk about things being underground, I mean, Kim, yeah, she was not underground. And that's, I think at that time, why it was so controversial. Because she was mainstream pop, you know, because hip hop is pop, you know what I'm saying? And so it was really out there. And I think that's what always makes people a little nervous. And I think it's that thing of like, you know, we are adults, right? So we have the capacity to discern and understand that, like, this is music, this is song, this is somebody, you know, liberating themselves. And so, but then there's always that conversation, but what about that other young, impressionable mind that might come across this? Because of course they're gonna come across it, because that's the world we live in.
Right.
And they don't have the nuance to, you know, really understand, you know, everything, and it just turns into, you know, something else, I guess, in the minds of another adult that thinks that that young people can't discern.
Right.
So that's why I was saying, and then it's also because I think as people get older, they get more conservative. Let's just get real, right? Like, I think people, it's like, yeah, we've seen it before, but it's like, you know, and at one time you might have been like all up with Lil' Kim, but now you're like, oh, I don't know, you know. You know, suddenly you got some babies, and suddenly whatever, you know what I mean? So it's that, all those things. But I agree with you, like every time, even when Cardi first came out, I was just like, what? And I didn't even understand like what was going on. And it's like, let me go check out what's going on with this girl, Cardi B. And I'm like, why y'all mad? Can y'all explain to me why y'all mad again? Like, aren't y'all the same people? Again, back to that Lil' Kim, like, aren't y'all the same people? So it's I just think it's about, because now we have these in our hand. And so do your babies. And so they can just.
So your point about access becomes, because we can carry it around, and so okay, all right.
Yeah. I think access, you know, this is, you know, 24/7 access to it, and also because, you know what, folks still uncomfortable.
Yes.
Folks still high strung. They just, you know, they don't, they want to keep stuff in the bedroom, or they want to be able to talk about it, you know, behind closed doors. And I think it takes a great deal of courage to be able to say, for us as Black women,
yes,
to say, like, listen, this is what I like. This is, you know, this is what I want you to do to me. This is how I want to feel, right? And it's really owning ourselves and owning, you know, embracing the agency that we have over our own bodies and our own feelings. And, you know, listen, this is what makes me feel good. And so, you know, ideally, people would want to be like, okay, well, don't talk about, you know, that, don't talk about it in public. or you can talk about it, you know, in relation to somebody else, relationship to a man, kind of having a conversation. And so, you know, we openly accept when men sing about these things. You don't ever give it a second thought.
Not even.
You don't give it a second thought, you know, aside from the, you know, how it affects our young men, our young boys, right? And in relation to their and how they get down with the women or with the girls in their lives, right? But it is, we just accept that men are the, you know, I guess the sexual authority, and so they get to talk about everything they want to do to women, and all of the ways that they want women to do things to them, and we don't give it a second thought. But when we do it, it's just like, now all of a sudden respectability come
absolutely,
you know, respectability politics come up, and and, you know, and there's something wrong with you, or, you know, or you're trash, or you're raunchy. It's like all of these labels that get attached to, you know, Black women who openly say and openly, you know, voice what they want and how they want it. One of the things that I do like about Cardi, and this is not even just the way that she talks about sex, is the fact that she's just this. She gave voice to all of the Roundaway girls, right? So I would even put her in a different category from like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown and stuff like that, because like, it was like, wow, okay, yeah. So you was a stripper, you had jacked up teeth, you know, you know, this is how you really, and what I can do this too. I can be seen now. I can be heard, and so that's one of the things I love about. And not saying that they weren't other rap artists or even underground, they were more like, you know, kind of I guess more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, tough, so to speak. like tough. They were like kind of rough with it.
Okay.
And when they were talking about it, but
Uh-huh.
I don't see Cardi B in that. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm probably not voicing it right, but I don't see Cardi B in that realm. Like I think like she gave voice and gave rise to all of the girls on stripper poles who thought that they could, you know.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing also because I've, you know, when Megan Thee Stallion was on SNL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were still having like problem with the fact that like she's on SNL, she's got, you know, a message of, you know, power, you know, about protecting Black women and all, you know, behind her. But then people were still focused on how she's dressed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like how, you know, it's like, well, that's nice and all, but then she's still giving you the same, you know, it's like, and then people are like, oh, I'm tired of stripper culture. And I'm like, listen, this stripper culture or, you know, sex work is work.
Mm-hmm.
It's work.
No.
That is work.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not out here like, oh, we just, no, it's work. And these sisters are out here doing work, you know? So it's like everybody just sort of puts it all into this category of like, again, it's still through that male gaze, right?
Yeah.
It's still through the male gaze. And it's like, no, how about talking to some of these women, you know, about what it is to do that work?
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just interesting. Again, it's like you can't, as a Black woman, you can't really win. You know, there's always something that somebody's going to say, well, if you're going to talk about empowerment, then you better not show no cleavage. Like, what? Like that's all my power right up in there.
You know, and I'm gonna keep it real. You know, as a man, it has been a journey for me, especially around this idea and especially around some of these women, because as a person who, you know, studies music in a way, understanding, well, who produced this and who wrote this, etc., there has been this kind of thing. But you brought up a big piece, and that is about the conversation with women. And one thing I learned is really important is it doesn't have to be empowering for me. That's not the point of it. It's not my view about sex and whether it's empowering for me. It doesn't need to empower. I don't need the empowerment because, to your point, I have been culturalized to be able to exist sexually with no issue.
Right.
So and so I can have a different mind because it's like, oh well, why would it mean anything to show your dick? Like, like what's the point? Because our dicks are always out. No, in one way or another.
In one way or another.
We walk around with our dicks out. We're women. That's just a different thing. So I did, you know, and that was again beauty in doing this show and why I wanted to do it, because also, you know, Shelley and I have had this conversation. I always think gay men think they're naturally immune to these issues because we're gay and so we understand women and we're like, what? Nah, we have our own shit too. And even kind of the beauty in like this package, and somebody bought Lizzo, and there's some beautiful comments here just around when Black women do it. Yes, it's an issue versus like Miley Cyrus, where it's liberating and cutting edge when white, and that's even going back to Betty Davis, right? And that in those times where white women who do it, it becomes, oh yeah, and it's the voice and it's liberation. And again, then we, you know, Black women need to be apologetic though for walking in their truth or whatever their expression is in that moment around sex and sexuality.
Well, I'm sorry, because the other thing that came up for me is that we have Black women, and I said it before, like at the beginning, I think before we started, about Black women's agency. So if you think about slavery, we never had any ownership over our bodies, right? And whether we never were able to consent for, you know, for sex, it was always something that was taken from us, right? We never could say no. And so now it's like, now we were trying to kind of claim it for ourselves. Now it's a problem, you know. Who brought up Miley? Yeah, Donnell brought up Miley. Yeah, white women could do it, right?
And smoke a joint doing it,
right? And
try and imitate Black women doing it,
right. But because, well, how dare you? How dare you assume agency over your own? How dare you?
And I love that people are talking about Lizzo, because that's a perfect example. You know, and I don't know if you've seen, she's doing a interview with David Letterman on Netflix. He has a special called My Next Guest Is. And so, yeah, she talks about that, like about how people just, I'm like, how dare you love yourself as a big fat Black girl? And she said that. That's her words.
Right,
you know
right.
But that's what is coming at her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, she's amazing. And also like.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing with every segment. It was like, whenever, I mean, you know, we look at these things, and we were talking earlier, like some shows lean so about the musicology. This reminded me of the message where we lean into kind of culturally what happens. And I think that's an important balance when we look at music. And like, but every show can just kind of go, and it's like, you got to stop it at some point because there's so many more people to talk about. And I mean, and I included Cupcake. A lot of people don't know Cupcake. She's not out there like that. But yo, her song, like that's, what did I shouldn't even that's not Vagina. Why can't I think of the name of the song? So she got Vagina, Deep Throat, Discount. Like, I mean, and you're like, you know, because the video, why can't I think why it's killing me? This is Duck Duck Goose. So this video, Duck Duck Goose, like the video is her with dildos and vibrators, like all over, to the point now people come to her shows with dildos and vibrators. Like, so you can't even, like, you can't see the video really, like you got to catch it underground, but on YouTube, you can see people watching the video and responding, which is a very strange kind of, you know. So yeah, and then you can see people doing the video or doing their version with dildos, and you're like, and Cupcake's a sister, you know, she's a thicker girl. When she came out, she didn't have a lot of I mean, she's done a whole transformation, but it's kind of like she was unbothered. Like, I mean, I'm serious. When I found her, I was like, and I mean, I've been around. I thought I wrote some of them songs. I was like, what's she talking about? So this whole kind of thing. And I think, yeah, as we see, and then as we talk about queer women, as we open up the space to talk about trans women, trans men, just this authenticity of storytelling that we all need to be supportive of.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's not my story, because every time somebody tells their story, that's Black, brown, queer, gay, whatever we're saying, it makes a space that makes it easier for me to tell my story.
Yeah.
Or gives me the idea to tell my story.
Right.
So while we look at this thing, yes, okay, sexually, I get it. I wouldn't want my 5-year-old saying X or doing X either. At the same time, but what's the narrative that I can get out of this? That's this, oh, so you're a creative. You want to be this, you know, you're a little griot in the making. So, okay, like, where do we come from there? And that for me is another piece that helped me shift kind of where I sit in all of this. And it's beautiful. Like, and I'm always learning, always growing. And yeah, I'm from the Lil' Kim era. I used to be scared of the dick. Now I throw lips to the shit, handle it like a real bitch. And we would be in the club bopping. And, you know, that was by the time hip hop went upstairs and house went downstairs. So we knew all them, you know, yeah, that's another show. like when cross cultures collide. Right. But I'm gonna tell you that we're gonna find out and let folks know we love Mama Funk. Something must have occurred. We going to we missed her here, but she was here. Like I felt, you know, in the conversation and the energy. I know folks like, I wanted to say hi to Nona. We gonna work something out. We're gonna work something out. But for you both who are here, thank you. And so, Shelley, what do you have going on and what do you have coming up?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So as you were saying, I do my show Punanny Politics, and it's hard. Like I'm so woo woo and witchy. So it's like on the auspicious moons. So the next show is going to be on the full moon, which is Halloween. And as we talk about our sexuality, I'm going to have my girl Dawn Crandall on, who is the founder of Brass Burlesque. We're going to talk about Black girls in the burlesque world and what's happening there. But that's happening. I'm also going to be doing, as we lead up to the election, right the day before the election, I'm going to have Sandra St. Victor back on, and we're going to be talking about all those things. And so yeah, there's a few more shows. You can find me on YouTube at Blackbush, BLAKBUSHE. That's where you find all my videos for the show. And then upcoming, actually next week, I'll be performing live for, there's an organization that's starting called the New Pride Agenda, and they're starting a brand new organization. So they're having a fundraiser, and I'll be singing for that.
Cool.
And yeah, that's kind of the that's. You know, it's so funny because it's such a strange time, and I really miss the stage. Like I really miss the stage a lot. I haven't been doing a whole lot of online performances, but you know, one day we shall return to the stage.
Oh, yes. And, you know, as Shelley said, you can also find her, like, we saw some in the opening packages, but Shelley don't play on stage. Like, there's a whole kind of, I knew her, but I didn't know her. And I saw stuff, I thought, oh. So, yeah, definitely check Shelley Nicole out. We'll post the information in the group as well. And Sue, what you got going on?
Child, I don't got nothing compared to Shelley. Jesus.
Oh, stop.
Oh, come on now, honey. Come on, Pastor Woman Producer.
Exactly.
Come on.
Oh gosh, oh Lord. Geez. I don't even know what to you know, aside from business and
well, Sue got a show every Friday, so you can watch her next week. Right.
The Walking Heavy show called Walking Heavy with Sue and Renier, and it's on Facebook and on YouTube, and we air. You can find us at the Walking Heavy Show on IG and on Facebook. The Walking Heavy Show. We air every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And so we invite you to come over and hang out with us. So we want to call it like the pre-show to In the Groove.
Yes. Oh, I'm down. Like,
so join us at Walking Heavy at 4:30, and then, you know, meet us again for In the Groove at 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I was going to say, we're going to do a triple threat Friday once, and then, because Shelley did a Friday, but it was early in the afternoon a couple Fridays ago. So I was like, okay, check Shelley out. And then you, and I mean, and that's the beauty of this, you know, to the beauty of this time. And we were saying this earlier, this opportunity to all be here in spaces, not just creating, but sharing and creating space for people to share. And that's like really powerful. And that's what we've been doing. Y'all been doing. Again, you know, y'all inspire me. We're going to keep that going. And in terms of what we have going here at In the Groove, well, we got our t-shirts and merch in. Hit our little thing, right? We got a little thing.
It's going to cover us up. But go
Come
ahead.
on. Yes. I'm so happy. I'm like, it's like having a baby. I'm gonna tell everybody, when you do it, so it's like having a baby.
Aww.
Anybody be like, yo, your baby ugly, or your baby not be your baby. Your baby. I love on In the Groove, so that's our merchandise, and we know wintertime is coming. We have hoodies, we have all kinds of stuff. So definitely check it out and support. Next week, the season finale. Yo, it's been an entire season. Head to the sky. We got a little graphic so you get an idea. We're going to be talking about songs that inspire. We're going to have the team here. We got a little picture. We're going to show the little.
It's coming.
Okay, all right. If not, I mean, y'all get the idea. But definitely, and we want to leave the season on that note. Yeah, there we go. Very Earth, Wind, and Fire kind of action we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about some other things, but just this kind of, what do we go to in times of need? Because while we do understand and appreciate the joy and blessings that we've been experiencing, we know that also there are needs. And so what's the music that keeps us going and keeps us lifted? So everyone's going to be back. We're going to talk about that. And so we're going to ready to close out. And I posed a question in the group this week about songs composed by Nona Hendryx that you know means something to you. What does it mean? And I didn't share mine. So some people who know me probably know what it's going to be. This is a song, and then I never say names. Some people just gotta wait and see. But it's this incredible, and I did say this online, incredible love song that's not about romantic love per se, but it is one of the most beautiful love songs. And what was brilliant about when Nona Hendryx started doing shows at Joe's Pub and she started to sing some of her compositions, there's a night, and Shelley, you're on stage there this night, and she sang this song. And we're going to go out with this. We're going to thank you all for watching. Thank our guests again. Give us big rounds. Give y'all big rounds. We'll see you next week for the season finale, and we're out the door.